let me explain how Bitcoin works first.
So we're
Okay.
gonna listen.
Right? Okay, you guys are welcome to answer. Ask questions.
Is it okay? Can we-
Yeah, you can, because he's been asking me several times. It's just easier to explain it visually,
Yeah.
right?
Please.
Yeah, more than once or
Take
several
your
times,
time,
right?
we will not talk anymore. We're gonna concentrate.
Okay, so the way that let's just look at how the banking system works. Okay, so in the banks, right, you currently have an accounting ledger, and only the banks can control it. So let's just say that you own the bank, right? Let's say we're in Bangkok right now, so let's just call it Bangkok Bank as an example. So let's say you own Bangkok Bank, or you're the chairman, or you're the owner, the founder, whatever, right? Of Bangkok Bank, and the rest of us here have an account with your bank. Well, the only person that can look at all the accounts is you. So the rest of us are in the dark. We don't know if you're actually doing what you claim you're doing. There's absolutely no way for us to know. All we do is just based on trust that you are doing the right thing for all our accounts. You guys agree? There's absolutely no way for the rest of us to confirm it. Now the government can come in and regulate you and look in to see what you're doing and audit you, and you can hire third-party auditors in. But at the end of the day, you're the one that controls the computers. You're the one that controls this accounting ledger. So nobody knows what's in, you print the statements and everything, but there's still a lot of shady stuff that you can do behind the scenes. If you ever work at any company in the accounting department, it can be done, right? So that's how we have always kept track of money and currencies. Well, the problem with that is that it's centralized in one location, and there's a lot of fraud that can go on. When the government prints money, they distribute it to all the banks and things like that, and through bonds. But we don't know. Like, as regular citizens, we don't know what the government's doing. Even the people that work in the government don't know. Only a small handful of people know who prints all the money and where it goes and things like that. The rest of us, there's no way for us to go in there and say and audit the Fed or audit the central banks. We can't do that, right? So a guy named Satoshi came along and he said he doesn't like that. He doesn't like the fact that in order for me to open up a bank account at your bank, I have to show ID. I have to get permission from you. By showing you ID, I have to go through the money laundering process and all the other stuff before you approve my bank account. And once you approve it, I still have to get permission from you to send the money to you. And computer scientists have been working for the longest time to figure out a way that you can create a better currency system or financial system where I don't have to ask you for permission to use the network, right? And I don't have to show my identity to you in order to use the network also. Now, there's one system that can do that already, and it's called cash. So if I give you cash, you don't have to ask for my ID. If I come buy the phone or the food from you or the fruit from you or the car from you or the house from you, I just give you cash. You don't need to ask for my ID, and you don't need to know if my history, my background, nothing. And neither one of us have to ask for permission. We do cash. And so cash works really well in person. But the downside to it is that we live in an age of internet now, where I cannot send you that cash over the internet. So computer scientists have long tried to create a currency or a financial system where it has the same features as cash, but we can do it on the internet. So that would be called electronic cash. So no one has invented a way to where I can send you value or money or cash across the internet without one of us knowing who the other one is. So when Satoshi came along in 2009, he took components, different technologies that already existed and was already built by other computer scientists, and he pieced it together into a bundle of technologies that's called Bitcoin. He didn't know what else to call it, so he just called bit, for electronics, bits of information, and coin for currency. So if you read his white paper, if you just search online Bitcoin, the white paper, Bitcoin white paper, the title of it is Bitcoin, an electronic peer-to-peer cash system, right? So the way that he did it was he invented where you would have the way that it works is that the reason why it was not invented before, okay, the way that the reason why the computer scientists could not invent an electronic cash to be used online before was because if you invent something that's electronic, right, it's like a Word document or an Excel file or a JPEG or a picture online, you can copy and paste it. So no one figured out how do I overcome this copy and pasting? How can we create an electronic file where when I send it to you and it's $1 or €1 or €1, we know that that's the only one that exists in the world. And no one has figured out how to do that. And that's called the double spend problem. And, in street terms, we would call, in computer science, they would call it the double spend, but in regular common terms, we would just call it copy and paste. So how do you prevent someone from copy and pasting this electronic piece of cash that we send to each other across the internet? So he used different technologies, and he realized that if we're able to create a chain of financial transactions, it could eliminate this problem. Like, this is not like something new. It's a problem in computer science that the computer scientists have been trying to figure out for the last 2-3 decades. This Bitcoin is nothing new. It's finally the culmination of many computer scientists coming together to build this electronic cash. So the way that the double spend is one problem. The second problem is who issues the new currency. Like, if you wanted to create a new currency, think about it. Like, who would issue it? Would you be the one issuing it? Would I be the one? Would Satoshi be the one that issues the new currency? Because if you issue it, the rest of us are going to say that's unfair. Because you're probably going to issue more to yourself than the rest of the system, correct? So that's another problem. And if you issue it, we don't know if you didn't print some extra coins behind the scenes, behind everyone's back either. So there's this huge problem. So he decided, he said, hey, why don't, instead of making this ledger, this accounting ledger, private, so that only the banks or the financial institutions or the central banks know how much currency is being printed, why don't we just make it completely transparent and public? So that anyone can see it, and you don't even need permission to see this ledger of accounts, right? And the way it is he created a first block, right? So in the beginning, it was just him. He was the only one that had the computers to mint new blocks or mint new currency. So this first block was called the Genesis block. So I'm going to represent that with the biggest stone here. So that's the first one. So that's considered block number 1. And then he would make transactions and test it. And he would set up several dozen computers and pretend that each one was a separate user. And they would start sending the Bitcoins to each other, right? So out of the first block, they produced 50 Bitcoins, right? And then he would program these several dozen computers to send it to each other to test to see how this new currency system works. And then once, he would send transactions, and every 10 minutes they would bundle the transactions up, and then they would compress that data so that it's a small size, and then they would encrypt that data, and they would connect it to the next block. And then it would do the same thing again. Like every 10 minutes, it would produce a new block like that. Okay? And so that's why it's called a blockchain, because all the blocks of data are connected together, right? Now, why is that important that you connect all these blocks together? Because now,
For transparency.
yeah, for transparency, so you see a record of transactions back to 2009 when he launched the Genesis block. Okay, so what happens is now he realized, okay, it's working, but let me start getting real people to start using it and see if it actually works. So he invited other computer scientists and other cryptographers and people that are in that field to start helping him test it. And so a bunch of really nerdy guys that are really fascinated with this type of computer science and cryptography, they joined him and they started setting up what's called a node. Okay, they would download the Bitcoin software, and I'm gonna let this represent the node. Okay, so these guys would just random people around the world that he connected with online, and they would start. They would just whatever country, didn't matter, right? And they had their own computers, and they would help volunteer to process the transactions. So imagine if we were the first Bitcoin users, we would send 10 Bitcoins here, you would send half a Bitcoin here, you'd send 100 Bitcoins here. We send it back and forth. Well, every 10 minutes, someone has to compile all that transactions and preserve it and record that data. and they would record it, and then that would produce the next block. Right now,
And important to mention is that it was fixed. The limit was fixed
yeah,
Pour le
on the
minage,
outset.
yeah,
c'est au sujet du minage de Bitcoin.
yeah.
Oui.
Ah, d'accord, je connais.
Donc, ça a commencé avec la grande
Ah,
pierre.
d'accord.
Et après, quand ça atteint son maximum, ça fait un nouveau.
Mais là, et chaque fois, il gagne 200 000 euros, je crois. Qui arrive à trouver.
Ah, ça, je sais pas, il est pas.
Ah, bah, d'accord. Voilà. Tout le monde travaille.
Continue.
Non.
Okay. So, what happens is when we send a transaction to each other, let's say that I send 2 Bitcoins to you, the first thing we want to know is where did those 2 Bitcoins come from? Did I just randomly just make it out of thin air? So what all these computers, all these volunteers around the world, what they would do is they would go back, and when I sent him the 2 Bitcoins, all these computers, all these volunteers with their massive computers at home, they would start going through each of these blocks to find where my 2 Bitcoins came from. So they do it instantly. You know, it's computers, so it's real fast. And they find, okay, I got 1 Bitcoin from here, from Bitcoin here, from here, right? 1 Bitcoin from John, 1 Bitcoin from Jack, 1 Bitcoin from Mike, and so on. So they confirm that I do have those 2 Bitcoins to send him. So once they confirm it, right, they send it to it moves over to his account, and then they have to compress that data, right? And then whoever can find all those transactions and confirm it and compress it and encrypt it, and then they got to do something else that's really crazy. They got to do what's called a hash. Okay, and the reason why they do this is to prevent people from cheating. So there's something that has to, like, if each one of these computers at home, collects the data, compresses it, and compiles all the transactions, there's all kinds of ways that you can cheat the system, right? So Satoshi figured out a way that it's going to punish you and cost you a lot of money if you try to cheat the system. But any of these volunteers, if they try to cheat the system and produce extra Bitcoins when they're not supposed to, or they lie about the transactions, it's going to cost them massive amounts of money in electricity. So they have to use their computers to create what's called a hash. And I don't have it in front of me, so it's kind of hard to explain. But a hash is where you input a data, like if you put A, B, C, D, E, if you change anything in that sequence or the type of letter, the hash changes, right? So the hash is just an input of data, and it produces a random output of data. So data goes in, and a random data comes out. However, that random data is always the same as the data that comes in, right? So if you input A, B, C, it'll output like M23 or MS13. Okay. By the way, it's the name of one of the gangs in America. I just randomly used it as a data output. But if you change anything in the ABC, if you change the sequence from B, A, C, then the MS13 is no longer MS13. It'll change to something completely random. Only when the input is ABC will it come out MS13.
At what point during your explanation do you, let's say you said that you sent Ronan 2 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
How can he put it into his wallet?
It goes into his wallet immediately.
Automatically.
Yeah, automatically. When I send it to him, it automatically goes in there right away. And then it's up to all these volunteers.
Everybody has a wallet, basically.
Yeah, you can create as many wallets you want.
Once you start buying.
Yeah, it's the software is very easy. You just download the software, install it on your computer, and the minute it finishes installing, it'll prompt you to create a wallet, and there you go. And then I can start sending you Bitcoins. He can start sending you Bitcoins. And the beauty of it is that you don't even have to let me know who you are. You can be a random anonymous person online and say, hey, I want to buy your book. I want to buy your flowers. I want to buy your, tacos. I want to buy your pad thai noodles. And then if you send me to my address, then I send you the product in the set, right? So this, by having these chains of data, all these are computers. You can download the software, and volunteer to be one of the Bitcoin processors. And the technical term for that would be a miner. So whenever you hear about Bitcoin mining, that's what they're doing. There's giant computers. I mean, like, when I say giant, the computers are about this big, But what they do is they put about several hundred, like 500 of them, inside a shipping container, and then they take that shipping container and they put it right next to a power plant or a water, a hydro, a dam, where they can't use it, sell the electricity at night, and they'll suck the electricity from that dam or from the solar farm or from the wind farm where people are asleep and they're not using electricity, so they'll suck it. Or they'll go. That's why I was asking you about the oil rigs, because you work on in the oil field, is how to get that heat that the natural gas they burn off. Because if that can be fed into a generator, a natural gas generator, then you can convert it to electricity, that waste gas into heat, into electricity, and then go into a Bitcoin computer to process these transactions, right? So when you guys go to these Bitcoin farms around the world, they're massive. They're massive. They're beyond what you can imagine. They got containers and containers and containers and containers and containers. Like all these countries that are being sanctioned by the Western countries, they have massive amounts of containers set up to mine Bitcoins, right? Because their financial system is being sanctioned by the U.S. government and by the EU government and stuff. So like in Pakistan, they got massive farms. In Iraq, Iran, all those places. You just may not be aware of it, but they're doing it, right? And so that's how it got started in 2009.
So why the value increase?
Okay, so the value.
What does it represent?
Okay, so people, right? So if you have an accounting ledger system that everyone can inspect and everyone can audit it, you don't need anyone's permission. You just download the software, and immediately your software starts to download a copy of all the blocks from 2009 all the way. Every 10 minutes there's a block. So there's hundreds of thousands of blocks already produced since 2009. So the minute you download the software to your computer, it automatically starts to update. And what it does is it pings your computer, will ping these nodes right here, these volunteers, and ask for the data, and they'll send you the data. And the way their software is designed, it automatically sends you the data. So that's why they call it a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, because the accounting ledger is being kept on all the volunteers' computers, and there's thousands of volunteers around the world. So whenever they say the governments can ban Bitcoin, they can't do that, because as long as one computer is running, it has the full copy of the Bitcoin network.
And how do you, let's say you want to buy,
Yeah.
so how do you send the money?
Okay, so it's just like any other currency. If I want to buy the euro, or we're in Thailand right now, so if I want to buy the Thai baht, I would go to a currency exchange. So there are currency exchanges that exchange US dollars for euros, for Thai baht, for Vietnamese dong. There are also exchanges, there's hundreds of them out there, that exchange US dollars, euros, Thai baht, like for Bitcoins. Yeah, like in Thailand, the biggest exchange is called
Coinbase, no?
Bitcup. No, Coinbase is an American exchange. Bitfinex. Yeah, Bitfinex is another one. That's a European one, I think. Right. So there's every country has major exchanges, and all you do is you just go to your bank account and you connect it to the exchange, like Coinbase, or like in Thailand with Bitcup, and then you connect it to them, and then you just transfer your Thai baht into Bitcup's exchange account, just like a broker or anything else, and then you just convert it to Bitcoin or to whatever 10,000 cryptocurrencies that they have on the market. Now, the question is, you ask, why? How did it get its value? Correct? Well, if you think about it, like anything.
Just pause 1 second.
Okay.
Make sure. Jusqu'à présent, t'as compris.
Which software you would use if I was to start playing? Which software?
You would go to bitcoin.org.
Okay.
Yeah, and they have a list of software.
And you can choose anyone. They are safe.
Yeah, they're all safe. Yeah, on bitcoin.org.
Yeah. So they're all safe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not all of them, but the ones listed on bitcoin.org.
Which one would you use?
I would use so that they have what's called a light wallet and a full wallet. Okay, I would use the light wallet, so I don't download like 200 gigs of data to my phone or to my laptop.
Are you in this business?
Yes, I started the first channel to teach people about it on the internet.
Okay.
On how to trade and invest it and buy it and sell it.
Because there are several companies in Thailand that have received the license.
Yeah, Bitcup is one of them. Yeah. So Thailand is one of the countries that's ahead. They want to be ahead because, their economy is going sideways. So they want to jump on the cryptocurrency technology, the industry, before other countries. So they're offering licenses to businesses that apply. So every country is trying to be the first country to grab that technology, just like 5G, 4G technology. Every country is trying to be like America's trying to be the first, country to have commercial flight, space flight, electric cars. Just every country's trying to compete and get the best technology to bring that industry to their country.
But Thailand is very advanced.
Yeah,
For example,
Thailand is one of the more countries that's.
Switzerland, which is pretty advanced financially.
But it's not. Switzerland is not
They don't have there are no companies.
No, every country has cryptocurrency companies.
Yeah.
Even Switzerland, but they I would not.
They don't have a license. Not own a license from Switzerland.
No, they are not like
in Luxembourg, but not in
they are not at the front of the cryptocurrency industry. Thailand, I would consider Thailand one of the countries in front, like the U.S., several places in Europe, right? And Thailand is one of them. Thailand is one of them.
And Thailand is getting the market also from Cambodia and Laos.
Yeah. They're trying to spread market share because if you announce that your exchange receive licensing from the government, from the Thai SEC, you are more legitimate than an exchange in Cambodia that who are you, right? Because there's more stringent rules for the Thai SEC to issue that exchange license, the crypto license. Okay, so that's all. But going back to what your question is, Pierre, about the value of Bitcoin, that the value comes from what humans decide. Like nothing has value until more than one human puts a value on it. So this rock has no value. Laying out there on the ground by itself, it has no value. It's only when two people get together and they decide, okay, this is worth 2 chicken eggs. Nah, I think it's only worth 1. Okay, all right, I'll give you this rock for 1 chicken egg, or for 1 gram of gold, or 1 ounce of gold, or whatever. So the value is from humans deciding it. And the first financial transaction that gave Bitcoin value was a guy was mining Bitcoins, and he had like 10,000 extra Bitcoins, and he just made a note online that said, hey man, I'm willing to give 10,000 Bitcoins to anyone that will order me 2 pizzas. So those 10,000 Bitcoins today would be worth, multiply it by $40,000. So how much is that? You guys are better at math than I am. $40,000 times 10,000. What is that? 400 million or 4 billion? It's up there, right? So when he did that, that was the first official financial transaction. So when he did that, now it put a value on the price of each Bitcoin. And then in 2010, there was an exchange in Japan called Mt. Gox, and they would trade. It's an exchange where you trade like game cards. It's called Mt. Gox, the Magic the Gathering. It's a game where they were exchanging products inside the game, and for some reason they decided to list Bitcoins as one of the products that they were going to trade, one of the digital products that they traded, and right away people started buying the Bitcoins for like 2, 3 cents, 5 cents, 6 cents, 7, 8 cents, 10 cents, and it immediately started going up because the people would rather use that as the currency. So when people started buying stuff online in other countries that they could not get a bank account or a credit card, they would use that first.
And there's a finite number, right?
Yeah, there's only 21 million tokens.
21 million.
Yeah, 21 million coins ever to be created. And right now, I think there's like 16 million. The last time I checked, I can't remember.
Yeah, around
But
16.
yeah,
Donc jusqu'à 21 millions de coins. No, he's asking, can you create?
Yeah, if you turn on your computer
Yes,
and you download the software.
You have the computer. You are the.
Yeah, but yeah, you can. Everyone can. But the probability, because it all works on probability. The probability that you will produce the next block is extremely low. You might have to do it for several hundred years before you produce one block.
Il y en a pour 20 ans, c'est ça, avant de finir
He's asking how long until the 21 million are.
Oh, the 21 million. The question is, when will all the bitcoins be produced? In the year, I think 2140. Yeah, 2040. 2140. It's close enough.
If I had to,
The Spanish is closer to France than it is Vietnam.
That's true.
if I had to play a bit, because banks they don't want you to have account.
Well, the banks cannot do anything about it.
So if I want to play,
No,
it's just
we
for
already
fun.
accepted.
I want to put 1,000 euro. I choose one of these wallet.
Yeah, the best thing that you that I would recommend is that
Remember, you know,
you're resident of France. Oh, Belgium.
No, here.
Here? No, but they go by what
the
you
tax man.
for the tax man.
I'm not resident in France.
Oh, okay. So I'm just gonna make up an example. Okay, if you're from France, then I would just sign up with like Kraken, one of the European or one of the American exchanges, right? Since they're alliances, they're allies, so they allow you to use each other's services. So I would set up an account at Kraken. They're gonna ask for your ID, your name and number, your ID. Send them a copy of your passport with a picture of you and your passport, things like that. And then once you get the account set up, they're gonna ask you if you want to connect it to your bank account in the EU. And so once you connect it, the thing that I would do to get started is you just send $100 to the exchange. I would not send 1,000 euros. Okay, I would just send $100 there, and then I would try to buy like 10 or 20 euros with the bitcoins, and then I would transfer it to my own wallet and see how that process works and how fast it is. And then I would send it back to the exchange, and I would send it back to myself, and I would send it back to the exchange. I would send it back to myself, and I would do that like a dozen times to make sure that I understand what just happened. And if you make a mistake, you're not going to lose a lot. Right? Don't send 1,000 in there. In finances, anytime you want to do something new, you test small before you go big. Right? You test small, and then you go medium, and then you go a little bit bigger, and then you go bigger, and then you go bigger. Don't come out there with $1 million. Let me test this with $1 million to see if I can buy $1 million of Bitcoin. Okay? Please don't do that. And then that's how you would do it. Right?
So can you just purchase Bitcoin and then wait and see, maybe in 10 years?
Yeah. I recommend everybody buy
nothing.
like $500 worth of Bitcoins
And do
every month,
and
and
do
just leave
nothing.
just leave it there and don't do nothing. Yeah, just don't do nothing. Like if you go to you guys sitting around and you drink 10 beers a week or something, just drink 5 and let the other 5 beers just put that into Bitcoin. Because if you guys think about it, it's the birth. The thing that people can't get over is that it's not issued by the government, and they don't realize that 100 years ago anybody can issue their own currency. If you go to America back like 100, 150 years ago, we had like 200 currencies in America. There's not one universal currency.
that's why gold was the
Yeah, gold. And I'm glad you brought up the issue with gold, right? If you guys think about it,
1971.
yeah, thanks to Vietnam.
August 15.
Yeah, thanks to Vietnam.
Exactly.
Yeah, Vietnam broke America, made them go broke with the war. Yeah, and they go, okay, look, we can't be redeeming gold for.
At university on that, so.
Yeah, we can't be redeeming currencies, these $100 bills for gold now, So they took it off the gold standard, But what happens is,
Moi, jusqu'en I just explain.
Yeah.
Jusqu'au 15 août de 1975, je pouvais prendre $100, aller au gouvernement américain.
So if
I
you
have
de l'or,
Coinbase stock and I lost 40% in 3 months.
Voilà.
Should go up.
yeah, I would not sell.
Et un jour,
If I had Coinbase stocks, I would hold it.
bien sûr,
They're like the biggest exchange in the world right
Et
now.
puis appuyer sur le
right? In the Western world.
It's now
In the Western world.
180. I bought it for 3 something.
Yeah, that was a bad deal. But you know, if you have a long-term horizon, like over 5, 6, 7, 8 years, it's gonna become like another Google or Facebook or Tesla. Well, I mean, if you're the biggest exchange in the Western world, what do you think? Right, you got over 40 million customers.
Now is today is 189.
Yeah, I would just keep it there. You know, if you have a tax,
You bought shares of Coinbase.
Yes.
So would you agree that it was a mistake to undo the convertibility with gold?
no, because it was heading that way anyway. It didn't matter if America did; somebody would have done it.
Yeah, but they,
Yeah, it's a mistake. But the thing is, people don't realize is that
because the value of the dollar has gone down.
yeah, but the thing is this: the value of gold didn't go up. If you look at the only reason why the value of gold has gone up,
It was $30 and now it's
yeah, but that's because of inflation.
Yeah,
Yeah, but if without inflation, gold would still be the same.
maybe.
Yeah, the only reason why gold goes up in price is because of inflation. It's not because the value of it goes up.
The same system exists. Whoever offers more.
Yeah, it's
offers the max.
yeah, gold is similar, but it's not similar. And here's the reason why. Whenever you guys hear about this blockchain database, the blockchain database is not a new technology. We have blockchain databases right now. Like pretty much every bank right now uses a blockchain type database. What's different about this type of accounting ledger and database, what makes it different is there's several features of it or characteristics that make it like very valuable. Okay, and you gotta, it helps to understand why this blockchain database is different from the current databases that everyone else is using at Facebook, Google, Bangkok Bank, American, Citibank, Chase Morgan Bank, JP Morgan Chase Bank, right? The reason why is because in the bank, you can go back in and change the records, right? So the value in this blockchain system is that you cannot change the records.
The bank's credibility is only as good as the people say it is.
Yeah, but we can't trust them. Nobody trusts the banks. Okay, we put their money in there, but we know that behind the scenes they're doing stuff that we don't approve of.
Well, I wouldn't say for all banks.
I would say for all banks. I haven't met a bank yet that I 100% approve. And the only way I'm going to approve that is if you let me or somebody else that's qualified to go in there and audit them. I'm not qualified, but let the people that know about banks go in and audit them. I'll bet you there's all kinds of shady stuff they do in the background. Every one of them, right? But they don't go to prison. That's the problem. There's a two-tier justice system where the banks can violate the laws and break the laws. They don't go to prison. But if you or I were to break one of the financial laws, guess where we're going to end up? Okay, yeah. So that's why a lot of the people that support Bitcoin, like myself, we don't support that system where you can do whatever the hell you want, don't get punished for it. But the rest of us, if we miss a payment or we do something, write a bad check or something, we can go to jail for it, right? So the thing that the Bitcoin blockchain, what makes it so unique is that you cannot erase or delete the data. Once it's created, it's on thousands of people's computers, and there's no way you can go around and delete all the data from everyone's computers. But now you can update it. You can say that I sent him 2 Bitcoins, and then, it was a mistake, so he sends 1 Bitcoin back to me. Now we can update it with a new transaction showing that he sent the 1 Bitcoin back. But there's no way for us to delete the fact that I initially sent him 2 Bitcoins. Right? So that's in computer science, they call that immutability. It's immutable. You can't delete anything. Right? So if you look at throughout history, in world history, the history is written by the winners, not by the losers. And in crypto history, it's written regardless if you're a winner or a loser, or it doesn't matter. It's neutral. It doesn't care what sides you take. It's going to record that data if you use it.
So, first of all, you're one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best ways of explaining is what you've done so far.
Oh, well, thank you.
Compliments on that.
I'm one of the best people to explain this so far to you.
It was so clear.
Yeah, because
I think
it's
everybody understood, so it was really.
yeah. So
But I do have 1 or 2 questions.
Go ahead.
I'm sure the others do too. Question number 1: why is it reasonably correlated to the overall stock market?
Okay, so the question is, why is it reasonably correlated to the stock market?
Yes.
Well, you can expect it as
I mean, today I think it's 39,000
Yeah.
pounds.
Yeah.
That's the last price I saw.
Yeah. So the reason why it's more correlated now than when it was in 2000 and the last bull market in 2017
Yeah.
or the bull market before that in 2014 is because in 2014 and 17 bull markets, only the people, the traders and the early investors and the early traders like myself were involved. But in 2021, it was a big year for crypto or for Bitcoin because that's the first time that the hedge funds and the institutions in Wall Street started coming in. They came in before that. They're not stupid.
But small.
No, they came in with big money. They just never told nobody because they didn't want to be accused of being scammers, or they didn't want to. Hey, if this thing doesn't work out, we don't want nobody to know that we were messing with it, right? In 2021 is when it became official, where they came out of the shadows and they openly admitted that they were in crypto and in Bitcoin. That's the only difference. The traders on Wall Street are not stupid. I'm not the only trader on Wall Street that came from Wall Street that recognized that this is a new asset class and this is a new currency and that we need to trade it. But the ones that did were like, I guess Wall Street would call us the rogue traders or the rebel traders or the alternative traders, right? So that's how we started trading, right? So does that answer your question? Why?
Not totally, because if you come back to what's happened now, that would presume that the banks have been selling massively.
Yeah.
The price has gone down really a lot.
Oh, okay. We know that Wall Street was involved with crypto, and the way that we can prove that is you just mentioned that you own Coinbase stocks, right? Well, who is the biggest backer of Coinbase stocks? I mean, of Coinbase, the company when they first started, when they raised money, who gave them the most money? Take a wild guess. Who gave them the most money?
Hedge funds.
Huh? The who?
Hedge funds.
The hedge funds? No, it was the New York Stock Exchange. Gave them $75 million. So they recognize that this is a new technology, a new exchange. So they put the most money into Coinbase when it first started. So it gave them $75 million in 2014 at like, I don't know, a very low valuation. And now that 75 million is worth like gazillions of billions of dollars. In just 2014 until now, that's what, 7 years? In 7 years, the Coinbase did an IPO and now their stock went up to like $300 and something. Now it's sitting like around what, $189? So they made a bunch of money off it.
$3,000.
So that shows you that Wall Street was already in crypto back in 2014. It's just that they didn't make it public. If you weren't in the industry, you wouldn't have known.
And probably the volume was smaller.
Yeah, that's another thing. The volume was too small. Like in 2000, I got in 2012 and 2013. My team did, right? And back then, let's say that you guys wanted to put in $1,000.
So if you went in 12 and 13,
Yeah.
you're a very wealthy gentleman.
I'm living here, aren't I?
Yeah.
Around you guys.
Right.
I'm living around Nick.
Nick.
You can't be poor and live around Nick,
No, that's not possible.
huh?
I mean, the king is sitting.
I mean, I'm sitting right here next to the mayor, and I'm sitting down at his feet explaining to him about crypto. Huh? You never be able to be poor and sit here in front of Nick's feet, the mayor, you know.
So I played on the phone and they
Yeah.
proposed me where you have to choose operating system. They say Electrum is a
Electrum is a good wallet. Yeah, but
and from there, if I want to play, can I buy it with a credit card?
look. The easiest way is just to use the exchange. Just use the exchange.
What?
You use the currency exchange, like I said, like Kraken, Coinbase, like one of those.
What is the biggest one in Asia?
The biggest one in Asia is Binance, but since most of you guys are from Europe, I don't.
No, but I don't know to avoid.
Okay,
I don't know
all right,
to do
Binance. If you're outside,
I
listen.
don't want anybody
If you're outside the
to
U.S., if you're outside the U.S., it's Binance. If you're in a Western country and you feel like, hey, I want to be safe, right? Then
Binance, BIN.
yeah, just like finance, except with a B. They're the biggest exchange in the world, period. Not just a
So
crypto
this
exchange.
is a wallet as well?
They have their own wallets on there.
Okay, so you can
Yeah.
go to that website and buy from there and let it there.
Yeah, just
Okay.
leave the $100 there.
Binance.com.
Yes, Binance.com.
Come
Yeah,
up.
I believe that the founder of Binance is the richest guy in the world, not Tesla.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, every time I tweet to him online, he always denies it, but I believe he's the richest guy in the world.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
Twitter, I should follow you.
Huh? Oh, yeah, he
Soon he's going to be on Truth Social.
what's that?
It's the birth of Donald Trump Twitter
Oh.
today.
Oh, okay.
It's called Truth Social.
What do you
Okay.
think about Shiba?
Shiba? Just
No?
just stick with Bitcoin, guys. Don't. You guys are not active traders. Just stay with Bitcoin.
Inu.
Don't.
Inu.
No. Don't bring up any other coins. Just
Only Bitcoin.
let the guys like me trade the altcoins. You guys just buy Bitcoin and that's it.
Truth
He's
Social.
asking Binance. Did you say?
Binance.
Binance.com.
He says who owns it.
There's several Chinese guys that own it.
Ah, yes?
Yeah, they are reputable. They're the biggest exchange in the world.
Yeah.
Like nobody even Coinbase with 40 million users, they don't even come even close.
Ah,
So there you can
Oui, je sais, mais
go there. You have to create an account
Yeah.
and that's it. And you can buy some with a credit card number or something. No.
You can,
Okay.
but
And
it's
then you wait.
yeah.
I mean, I just want to play. I'm not a trader.
Yeah.
I just.
If you want like hands-on help, just walk down to BitCup. Just walk down to their office and just sit in their office in their customer center, and they'll walk you through it.
Where is it?
At on the 9th floor at Emporium, they just opened it up this year. They have a huge, like half the floor belongs to
Binance.
BitCup. No, BitCup. Bit
BitCup.
BITKUB.
Okay. Bitcoin.
Yeah, Bit like Bitcoin and Cub.
And they are linked to Binance.
No, they have nothing to do with Binance. They are a Thai exchange. Whereas Binance, you're comparing two different companies.
Yes.
You're comparing a company in Thailand versus a company that's in Hong Kong or Malta somewhere.
I just want to
If the easiest
open
one,
an account.
Okay,
Like,
if-
buy, put a few $100 and wait.
listen, the easiest way is just to go to Emporium,
Okay.
right? You know where Emporium is at, right? Go to the 9th floor. They half the floor belongs to BitCup. Okay, they open up a community center, walk in there with 1,000 baht and say, hey, I want to buy 1,000 baht with a Bitcoin. Show me how to do it.
Okay.
And they got, a dozen.
He would like to, if he wanted to know who's behind the Chinese, the bit.
Well, what is it you want to know about it?
No, just know who the owners are.
Yeah, his name is CZ. His nickname is CZ.
But is it like disclosed? Is that like?
Yeah, the guy is not. He's a legit guy.
That's what I'm saying.
He's like a Elon Musk.
No.
I mean, he's one of the richest guys in the world. He's not. He doesn't need to scam you, and he doesn't need to scam me or you. You understand? Like he's in my opinion, he's the richest guy in the world. He doesn't need to scam you for your $1 million or his $200 or his $10,000 or my $10. He does not. There's no reason for him to do that. He built really good software. He used to work at a different exchange. He used to work at different places in America, and he worked at different exchanges. He built trading software at different companies, and then when
Return to Asia.
yeah, he went and worked at I forgot the name of a very large exchange, and he tried to get them to change their software so that it can process transactions faster, so that the routing technology and the order books, the I forget what's called it's the order books that will allow millions of people to trade at the same time, right? They didn't want to do it. They thought his idea was not good, so he said screw them. He went back to Asia, grabbed a couple of his buddies, and they went and built it, and just started a new exchange. And within 6 months, they became the biggest exchange in the world. In like 6 months.
And
It's on the
when
9th
was
floor.
that?
Yeah, Emporium.
Ninth floor.
Yeah, 9th
And
floor.
There's only
When
one
was
shop
that?
with 500 shops. Only one.
No, only one. They take up half the floor. You know that it's
Yeah.
not cheap to rent half the floor at
Okay.
Emporium.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're not. They're doing well.
And So these people, where are they based in Binance?
I haven't looked at. They're based out of. Originally, they were based out of like Hong Kong, and then Malta, and then Singapore. They have exchanges in almost every country. They're not.
And what did you say about Emporium? Are they related?
No, you guys are mixing up two different companies.
Yeah,
One
but
is an Asian,
what
one
is
is a
the link?
Chinese company, one is a Thai company.
What is the link between Binance and
Nothing. They're just in the same industry. What's the link between Bangkok Bank and Kung Si
Okay,
Bank?
so they are doing the same.
They're in the same industry,
Yeah.
but they have nothing to do with each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
And on BitCub you can get
BitCub is local here in Thailand.
Yes,
Since
okay.
you are sitting in Thailand right now, and this is new to you, you may want customer service, like a live customer service. So you just go into their office, their community center, and they have employees that work at BitCub, and they will walk you through everything.
what about tax?
Well, you have to talk to an accountant. I'm not a licensed
No, but
accountant.
if you do that here,
I dropped out of high school. Why are you asking me
No, but
about
that's
taxes?
a very-
Yeah, come on, man.
is the money taxable if it's here? Because I don't want to be here. I want it to be as far as far as France, as far as
yeah.
US, and as far as
Yeah.
as the
But
tax.
No.
That's a very, very important question.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
so
Look.
if it's here,
I
if I make a profit, is
I-
it taxable here?
No. Listen.
So,
I don't
call
know.
Baker McKenzie, they'll tell you in 5 minutes.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's probably cheaper. So
No.
far.
Listen,
far it's cheaper.
listen. Okay, my lawyer already warned me dozens of times already. Okay, when people ask me about tax questions and stuff like that, right? I'm not a licensed accountant. I'm not
I
in any
understand.
country.
I understand.
Okay, I don't even have a high school degree.
I
Okay,
understand.
I'm not a licensed financial advisor, but
No,
you
I
know,
understand.
so that you go before you do anything, just $100. That's it, no more. Okay, and keep transferring back and forth between you and the exchange about a couple dozen times, so you understand what's going on.
I'm not
How
worried
many
about
places?
$100. I'm worried to forget the password. I always forget my passwords.
But you know why? Because you make them too complicated.
Maybe I should.
You need to use a
tattoo
password
them here
manager.
or something.
No, you just need to make it so simple.
No, you don't want to do that because there's software out there that can crack it within a few seconds.
So what should I do?
Yeah, any password that a human creates, there's software out there. The hackers, they can crack that within just a few seconds.
So
You
what-
cannot come up with a
You
password,
scare us now.
right? I'm serious because I'm saying that because that's the number one reason why people
So-
lose money in crypto
Okay, so
is because they lose their tokens.
how we?
I told you guys keep asking me the same question. I said go over to the exchange and let them set up the account for you.
And they set the password for you.
Yeah, you can create it. You know, I recommend that if you're online, you use a password manager like Bitboard.
Give an example of a password. No,
Uh,
not yours, of course, but
I don't.
an example.
Oh, yours? Why not?
Or yours if you like.
I just told you guys. That a human cannot create a password that cannot be hacked.
So who can?
Only a computer can create a password that cannot be hacked.
But that means that we need to then print it.
No, you don't need to print
Carry-
it. What you carry a phone every day, right?
Yeah, well, I carry my wallet.
So there's different password managers out there, right? There's different password managers softwares out there, and all you gotta do is remember one password, one complicated password in your head, and then the software creates a password for everything that you need passwords for.
He asks you where you from, what do you like, what kind of girls you, and then it creates for you. something
Listen, guys.
special.
It's the easiest is if you guys go to the exchange and let them set it up for you. Because if you guys,
How many? So that was one example at Emporium. Are there other places where you can go?
yeah,
Just
there
out of
is, but
curiosity.
it doesn't matter because if I tell you guys, you're not gonna remember it.
No, I heard about one called Pitatsa.
No, don't listen. You guys are in Thailand.
They're in Thailand.
There's an office right here. Just walk into their office and let them set it up for you and play with it, you know, for a month or two and get the hang of it. I'm telling you, the biggest reason that people lose money in crypto is they lose their coins. You understand? It's not because the market crashed or anything like that, right? From my experience, most of the people that lose money in crypto, they lost it because they lost their tokens, their coins. They didn't secure because it's the first time in human history where you have to secure your money. No one else can do it for you.
Yeah, but that what you're referring to is the password.
No,
If you don't forget the password, then
Yeah.
it's okay. Or not.
yeah, you need
It's
to
not
know the
about
password.
forgetting, it's also about making it in a way that they cannot be.
This is the reason why crypto is not mainstream like the euro or the US dollar yet, because there's still security issues that make it difficult to use in the beginning. But once you set it up, then it's not that difficult. If someone shows you, then it's not that difficult. But the problem is when people come into crypto, they don't know what the security procedures are. When you go to the bank, you don't have to worry about somebody stealing your money. As long as you leave the money in the bank, unless the bank gets robbed or something, but even then it's insured. But when you buy crypto, it's on your computer, it will get hacked. There will be people trying to hack it. Why? Because it's the first time in human history where I can rob you while you're in Russia. I can rob you and hack your computer and steal your bitcoins while you're in China, while you're in Vietnam, while you're in Thailand. I don't have to point a gun at you no more.
But do you need my password?
They can break it. I guarantee you
Or
that.
even that they can break.
Yeah, if you guys create a password, all you guys right now create a password, I guarantee you I can download
if
software.
If the computer, if the guys here.
Yes.
They,
The only way that you can prevent that from happening is if you use another computer to create the password for you. If a human creates a password, the computers can crack it.
Okay.
They can figure it out. But if another computer creates the password, then the computers can't figure it out.
Why?
Because they guess. How many times can you guess in a day? Like if let's just say my password was open sesame, right? And you guess it's fish, it's bull, it's elephant. How many guesses are you gonna make before you finally catch that it's open sesame? How many?
Yeah, chances are 0.
Okay, and how long is it gonna take you?
Forever.
Okay, a computer can do 1,000,000 of those guesses in
Yeah.
like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
That's how it can do it. It's not that because it's smarter, it's just because it can do it faster. And there's people out there, there's hackers out there, all they do is they run their computers all day long, 24 hours a day, guessing passwords.
So you need to trust the software that make the password for you.
Exactly. And the one that I recommend is called Bitwarden. Like a prison warden, bitwarden.com. That's the software that I recommend because it's one of the more user-friendly ones.
But is that a US company or not?
It's
That's to manage your password, right?
yeah, it's so these softwares are called password managers. Like KeyPass is a password manager. LastPass is another company that makes a password manager. Bitwarden is another company that makes a password manager.
And where are they from?
They're from different places around the world, but almost all of them, most of them, it's called open source. They open their source code so that you can read it yourself to prove that there's no viruses or Trojans or any bad software in there.
Oh, I see.
Right? So Bitwarden, KeyPass, those things like that, they're
What
open
about
source.
LastPass?
LastPass is not open source, I don't think. That's the one that's popular on the Mac computers, on the Apple computers.
I'm a resident. I'm a real
Yeah.
resident of Hong Kong.
Okay. Yeah, I don't understand their tax law, but here's
So
there's
basically my tax.
yeah, you guys. I keep telling you guys, I'm not a licensed tax
I'm telling
professional.
you because I know a lot about it.
Okay.
It's probably the best place to be resident.
Yeah.
Because you can't really pay. You have to make a big effort to pay a little bit of taxes.
So this is what the three things that you guys got to understand about Bitcoin, right? There's the three features that gives it value. Because if you don't understand these three features, the three primary characteristics of it, then it really doesn't mean anything. Because you can just use the US dollar or the euro. The first one that I mentioned, the first one is it's censorship resistant. Why do you think that all the truckers in Canada, they're all using Bitcoin? They want to get funded because people donated to them 10 million US dollars, and guess what happened? You know, Trudeau, he didn't like it, so he froze their money. And he forced the company GoFundMe to block that money and not give it to the truckers. So that's called censorship, right? Financial censorship.
Yeah.
So no one can censor Bitcoin. Nothing. There's nothing you can do to censor it. The only thing that the governments can do,
So they can't block your money. They can't.
no, they can't. Like there's nothing that the government can do to prevent me from sending you a Bitcoin. So let's say that if you're in Cuba and they're under sanctions, and you and I went to college together,
Yeah.
and now you go back to Cuba to live, but the U.S. government won't let you send money to you, right? Yeah, for whatever reason, whatever sanctions they have with each other. But you and I are college classmates, and you need some money, and I want to help you out. I can send you the Bitcoins, and there you go.
Yeah.
Done. There's nothing that anyone can do to censor the transactions. As long as I have the Bitcoin in my account, in my wallet, I can send it to you. And as long as you download the software and you create a wallet on your computer, I can send it to you. He can send it to you. He can send it to you. No one can stop it. And so that's the first value proposition of Bitcoin, is that no one can censor the transactions. Number two is that it's permissionless. None of us need permission. Like if you want to use Bangkok Bank right now, each one of us have to go get permission from the embassy. We got to go get permission from the bank. We got to get permission from the immigration office. All kinds of stuff.
To do what?
To set up a bank account.
Oh.
But with Bitcoin, you don't need no permission. You don't need to go to no embassy. You don't need to go to no State Department. You don't need to go to no consulate. You don't need to go.
To open a bank account here, you need.
Yeah, you need to go. Yeah, you need all that.
You need all that.
Yeah.
Oh, when I opened, but it was a few years ago. I didn't
Yeah.
need it.
So.
I just needed my passport.
Yeah, you cannot do that.
Nowadays, it's
No. You got all kinds of paperwork you gotta get.
oh, really?
Right? So Bitcoin is the only one. Like for example, like Coinbase, only Western customers can use it.
What do you mean? You can buy the stock?
No, to use their exchange.
Ah.
So if I'm in Vietnam, can I open up an account with Coinbase? No. It's a communist country. They don't want to. It's not a U.S. ally, so they're not going to let us
But that's
use it.
exactly why I don't want to do anything with the US.
Well, so
That's
if you don't like that type of censorship from one government to another, right?
That's why I feel comfortable.
Then
with Asia.
that's why people leave the fiat system, the traditional banking system, to go into the cryptocurrency system, because now they don't need permission from anyone. So the reason why it has value is because you don't need to ask anyone for permission. So number one, you can't censor anybody from using it while they use it. Number two, you don't need to ask anyone permission to use it. Right? And then number three is the one I mentioned to you earlier. It's immutable.
Yeah.
And then the fourth one, as a bonus feature, would be it's unconfiscatable.
How does one get in touch with you?
How does one get in touch with me?
Hi.
You see me here every day.
No, well, not every day. And do you have a number, or do you can one? Because with a few rocks there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just lectured about Bitcoin with a few rocks and a few flowers.
We have a
The rocks represent blocks.
have
The flowers represent nodes.
I told you this was the best presentation I ever heard.
Yeah, the best presentation.
we have a big office down there, on the ground floor. They're all empty. Maybe you can set up a bit club, a Thai bit club.
Oh, you have your
Oh.
phone. So you could send me a message on WhatsApp,
Yeah.
and then we can communicate.
Yeah, we do it online, on the Line app. Or yeah, it doesn't matter.
I don't have line, so
Okay. Oh, you need to keep up with the times then, mister.
I
You're
don't.
Asian.
But I do WhatsApp.